From Javier Mendez laying out the perfect game plan for O'Malley to 11th ranked bantamweight Umar Nurmagomedov siding with the champion, here's everything you need to know about Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling, scheduled for UFC 292. For starters, it's all about the game plan. As far as the bantamweight division goes, I don't think there's a more interesting matchup than this. Fight fans have been waiting for this one for the longest time now. And believe it or not, Sugar was actually offered the fight a while back, but chose not to take it, leading to a failed title attempt by former dual weight champion Henry Cejudo. And now that the battle between the two titans is official, Javier Mendez has just weighed in on the action and thinks it's going to be a high-voltage matchup, with both of these gentlemen being the ultimate counters. What does that even mean, though? Well, look at it this way. There's no way the Funkmaster can dominate O'Malley in the stand-up game. And similarly, if the fight ends up going to the ground, Sean can kiss goodbye to the bantamweight title. So in a way, they're both the perfect counter for each other. And when the bell finally rings at UFC 292, Mendez thinks whoever's more tactical will walk out with the win. But that's just the game plan he's talking about. As far as his pick is concerned, he sided with O'Malley to shock the fight world and wrap the title around his waist, finally putting an end to Aljamain's reign as the bantamweight champion. It's obviously not going to be as easy as it sounds, and we saw that the last time Sterling took on Cejudo at UFC 288. It was a brilliant performance, and it's probably going to give him a lot of momentum going into this matchup. Oh, and speaking of Cejudo, he believes this is the worst possible matchup for Sean. It's simple for the former dual weight champion. If Aljamain can take him down, O'Malley doesn't even stand a chance. And while I completely understand the logic, isn't Sean an exceptional striker capable of doing some serious damage? Well, Henry doesn't think that's going to matter at all, since all Sterling will try to do is push him up against the cage, take him down, and continue hurting him until it either taps out or goes to sleep. Plus, it's not just a matter of taking Sean down, since Henry himself is an elite-level wrestler. If he couldn't withstand the champ's ground game, there's no one in the entire division who can. But it's not like Sugar doesn't know all this, right? Sure, he relies heavily on his striking, but he's working a lot recently.
Body kick from Jan, a shot from takedown by the Sugar Show. O'Malley
with significant improvements in his jiu-jitsu and wrestling credentials. But despite all that, Triple isn't convinced one bit. In fact, he actually said it's going to be the easiest title defense of Sterling's life because there's a massive gap in their skill level. I don't know if I agree with that, because whether you like him or not, Sean has a huge heart, and the kid can take a beating. Also, it's not like the first time he's going up against a good wrestler, right? He's done it before. So let's see. But as far as Henry's prediction goes, he thinks Sterling has it in the bag. Oh, and if you thought that was harsh, wait till you hear what Sterling had to say about his next opponent. According to the champ, O'Malley is nothing but a Conor McGregor knockoff. The Funkmaster really seems to have something personal brewing with Sean. While talking about his rivalry with Sugar, Aljamain says all O'Malley wants to do is be flashy and behave like McGregor, when he doesn't even have the formula or juice to be like him. But that's not all, people. He went on to say some super controversial things, like how the UFC is actually rooting for his opponent to be the next champion. But why would the promotion do something like that? And where is Sterling getting all this from? Well, Aljamain sort of accepted that he might not provide the best marketing value to the promotion. He's a fighter who doesn't beat around the bush. If you think he's the guy who'll be all flashy or something, it's not him. He likes to go in there, get the job done, and walk out without creating a lot of drama. Sean, on the other hand, is actually the opposite of that. He adds a lot of marketing value, and frankly speaking, it's what the fans want these days. Sterling thinks the UFC will do everything in its power to make sure O'Malley wins, but he did say it's a bit unfortunate he'll be fighting him, since there's no way he's going to let him become champion. In fact, he's vowed to make an example of him by putting on a dominant performance at UFC 292. That is, if he wants to fight by then. When UFC President Dana White first announced the fight, the MMA world was taken by storm, since this was the fight everyone's been waiting for. And while Sean is pretty much on board with the idea of fighting at 292, Sterling's coach claims the champ still hasn't confirmed the battle. It's a bit weird considering how Dana has already announced the fight, but yeah. Last I heard, his coach clearly said Aljamain still hasn't made up his mind about fighting in August. Because let's not forget, he fought Henry at UFC 288, and since he has a habit of taking time off, chilling with his friends and family after every fight, I think he probably intends on doing just that this time around as well. Remember the fight before Henry when he took on Dillashaw? He also went on a long 6-month vacation after that bout, so yeah, he probably wants to do that again, but with Dana already having announced the fight, I think he has no other option but to accept it and put the title on the line. Either way, the main concern here is that Sean will be coming in from a better position. Unlike Aljamain, he'll be coming off a long comeback. And that might just give him an advantage since the Funkmaster will have less time to prepare. Oh, he's also not used to it either considering his long vacations. Anyway, let's see how things play out. I don't think Sterling has much of an option. And since we're on the topic of coaches, O'Malley's head coach thinks the UFC knows it's about to go down. Remember how I was just telling you what Sterling thinks about the promotion pushing Sean? Well, that might just be true. Of course, they're not considering sneaky ways to make him champion since he'll have to beat the Funkmaster. But his coach claims the UFC knows Sean is on the rise now, and no matter who he fights, he's going to win every single time. Or in simple words, the fight couldn't have come at a better time. Sugar's prepared to fight the champion, and even in the face, it seemed like he wasn't intimidated or scared by Sterling at all. He was quite confident, and Sterling was the one who made things awkward by trying to get a big whiff of Sean's hair.
That's that right hand again, right after the left high kick.
Look, it all just comes down to skill and mindset, and I think both of them have it. Sure, Javier's right about Sean failing on the ground, but what if he's able to land a knockout blow, putting an end to Aljamain's reign? Besides, there's no way to judge the fight based on momentum alone, since both of them have dominated their last few fights. Finally, time for what Umar Nurmagomedov had to say about the championship match. Like the rest of the fight world, Umar thinks Bruce Buffer will announce the words, "and still" at UFC 292. Believe it or not, the 11th ranked bantamweight actually thinks it's going to be an easy fight for Sterling. Umar could not have been more blunt. He doesn't even think Sean has a chance of winning the title, and the reasoning is simple. See, because there's a huge gap in their skill level, O'Malley has no idea how to answer all the pressure Sterling brings to the octagon. He's never had someone like the Funkmaster throw him on the ground and work him from there. Plus, you could practice escaping those positions all you want at the gym, but when he's inside the cage with a champion holding him down, trying to get a tap-out victory, Nurmagomedov doesn't think Sugar has enough to survive. Also, in a way, this is the first real fight Sean will ever be in. And that doesn't mean Umar's trying to throw any shade at his past opponents. All he's saying is, this is when it's going to count the most. And this is pretty much Sean's first big fight with something as big as the title on the line. So there's the pressure of knowing Sterling can take him down anytime he wants, and there's the pressure of being thrown back years in case he loses the bout. But yeah, from Umar Nurmagomedov picking the champion over the underdog to Mendez thinking Sean actually has a chance to win the title. That's everything about O'Malley versus Sterling at UFC 292.